and Naomi co-own 3 Zentai martial art locations in New Jersey. They have 2 amazing kids that I've met personally, and they're so well respected and mature for their age. Alan walked away from a high-paying tech job to chase his passion, and Naomi is living her passion, and she made history by becoming the first Latina woman to be elected to the council in Belleville, New Jersey. And in July, she became deputy mayor, which is insanely. They will be speaking on purposes over systems. So, ladies and gentlemen, Alan and Naomi de Pena.
Good morning, everyone. This is like the coolest place that I've ever had an opportunity to speak into. Thank you, Randy, for keeping us safe this year. Last year, for some reason, we ended up here, although CozTalks was canceled, and within 10 hours of being here, we got into a car accident with Randy Reed. So you just never know what's going to happen when you're around Randy Reed. Yesterday, we showed up, and we went into the hotel, and realized that the hotel was closed. It was closed for 2 years. And Randy Reed told me to book that place. So when he talks about you've never lived until you've seen a Puerto Rican girl who's angry, he doesn't know I'm actually half Puerto Rican and half Dominican. So when you put together the Caribbean at that level, I mean, we are talking fire. So he got me a room, and we're happy, and we are going to be.
We got a nice ocean front room.
We did.
So,
Very nice.
Randy fixed that up real nice. So
Thank
she
you,
came
Randy.
into the room and was like, okay, the room's nice. So we were happy with that. And I got to practice being Randy's attorney here in Cozumel after that accident. And it all turned out pretty well. So I think that was good.
For sure. And things like that really make you connect with people at a deeper level. So we feel like we know Randy for much longer, but
That's
we've really
right.
only been.
You only need to know Randy for 12 hours, and it feels like you learned him a long time. It's like, oh, we got a lot of experiences, a lot of stories. So today, I think this is, it was great that Randy, what he was just talking about, just a sense of purpose and having that design of that clarity of your organization and what you want to be about, and pushing that out to your teammates so that they can also speak the same language. And that ties in quite nicely to what we wanted to speak about today, because I know you are going to hear throughout the weekend a lot of systems. There's a lot of great systems out there that are going to be able to change many lives, impact many people, do what it is that you want to do much better. We're going to hear about people who have been really successful, and through that success, they've been able to really narrow it down and say, this is exactly what we did to be successful. But I want to give you a warning. And if we just go to that next slide, or my only slide. My next slide is my last slide. Systems were designed to serve people, but operators bind people to be slaves of the system. And that's the pitfall that a lot of times we fall into. And that's what we want to speak to you about today. So you ever wonder why you have, you implement, Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll go. So I believe in letting you know, telling you what I'm going to tell you, then telling you, then I'll tell you what I told you. So I'll just laying down that, and I'll let you know a little bit about our background. But if you ever wonder why you try to implement a system that someone else implemented very successfully, and you don't get the same results, it's usually because the heart of the system, the passion in which it was created, is not there. If you're missing that, it's not going to thrive. It's similar to if you go to a Chick-fil-A. We all know they have great hospitality, right? So you go there, they're going to say, oh, thank you so much for coming, and they're very polite. I don't get to go too often. I'm not in the South. But I know that this is something to be true. That's great, but at a certain point, you can kind of tell that they've been really well trained to be polite, right?
Yes. And
that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I don't want to go to a place where people are trained not to be polite, right? That's a good thing. But sometimes we go, and I was with Azar Alex Azar in Texas, and we went to this little shack barbecue place. The people there weren't particularly very nice. They were like, "Wow, you want a pound of this?" Bam, and it's that. But then they came out and they were so passionate about the food that they were serving. Then they came out, started talking about the restaurants, pointing out all the different history. You see that passion, you see that love, and that went way further than what I get at Chick-fil-A. Even though Chick-fil-A has a better system for being kind, for being passionate about what they do, to being caring about people, but the true passion is really going to outshine that. So that's really important. In the next, few days, remember, think about when you're hearing this people speak, not just the system that you're implementing, but what is the goal, the passion, the heart behind what they're implementing it. Some systems were designed to get more students. Some systems were designed to get more schools. There's a lot of systems that you could create a lot of partnerships. And hey, you're a 49% owner, you're 49, you're 49, and you can, raise up a few dozen schools very quickly going with that model. And that's great. That's going to help you expand how many schools you have. But you're looking at what is the purpose of the system. You may lose the ability to change lives by growing that quickly, that fast. So I just partnering with people and what values are they bringing to the table. So just be mindful of that. So Randy Reed asked us to introduce ourselves. So for 5 years ago, we're very young in the martial arts industry, we launched Zentai. So before that, Naomi was a teacher, special education teacher, having her dream job there. I grew up to be operations manager in New York for an artificial intelligence company, had over 200 people globally working for us. So operations was my thing, KPIs was my thing, and that's what we lived. We were happy with our jobs. We weren't unhappy, right? We weren't, oh, I hate this job, I want to do something else. But we were always passionate about changing lives. So we found the value in what we can do through the martial arts industry and how many lives we can impact how quickly. You want to talk about? No. All right. So, food is ready. All right. So when we went to start, we thought, wait, with the martial arts, I don't feel like the numbers weren't adding up. Remember, I was a numbers guy. So I'm like, this is not going to make enough money worth anything, right? So, or at least not at first. So Naomi being a teacher that she was, we thought, what about if we do an after-school program with our martial arts?
Such a genuine idea.
Yes,
it really
we thought we had invented sliced bread.
Yeah.
We had never seen anyone in the industry do it, but we didn't know anyone in the industry. So it was just our surrounding neighborhood. And when we opened up the after-school program, everybody said, well, there's a great idea. Why not more martial arts schools are doing this? Lo and behold, years later, we met Dwayne, and it has thousands of schools doing this, but it was a pretty unique idea at the time.
And this came out of our own needs, right? Because I was in New Jersey, I was a special education teacher, working and picking up my kids from school to then have to take them to martial arts and do homework and all of that. And we're not here to talk to you about about after school, but just about my need as a parent and the fact that I Googled and I couldn't find anyone that offered that service. So we said, you know what? So let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and we're going to open it. And we did. And within 4 months of being open, first when we took that first location, everyone said, it's too big. You guys, so we're just going into this, not knowing anyone. I love to tell people that we had 2 students, and those 2 students had no choice but to show up to class because they were my children, Caleb and Chloe. And they were also our instructors because we had no one else, right? So we didn't come from having taught at a community center, teaching at a church or anything. It was just in a community that we did not know anyone. And we came in and we opened up within 4 months. We were able to take a second storefront right next to us. And then we hosted our first summer camp, but we were sold out. And so as we were looking into the future, we realized we have to get a bigger location. So we were very fortunate on the same path, on the same road, to find a 7,200 square feet location where we moved and by the first year where we were.
That's right. We were only about 8 months in from having opened up a school with no students to growing at that level. 1.5, a year and a half later, I left my job in New York. A lot of credit to Johnny. Where's Johnny? He's not here?
He's not here.
So to Johnny, who will be around later, and encouraging me to do so, right? And I left my job at a certain point. It was just growing so much to school that we couldn't do both. I didn't have a plan because, again, we were living out our passion doing the martial arts. I didn't think that this was going to be something that demanding. About 3 years in, the business was completely self-sufficient, meaning we had a team of head instructors, assistant instructors, front desk staff, camp directors, that we were no longer needed. So she went away not having to do the front desk job anymore. I was no longer teaching classes on the mats, only 3 years into the martial arts business. At year 4, of course, was 2020. So that was a beautiful year. We were able to grow a lot. In fact, we grew so much in 2020 that we opened up our 2nd location. That was our 4th year in. 5th year in was 2021. We opened our 3rd location. 3rd location grew from 0 to 150 students in about 4 months. So I'm telling you all this to say the passion that we were living, that we're doing, there's something there. Right? And that's what we want to get to, right? Not just a system that you're following, because all the systems went out the window in 2020.
Yeah.
How many of you agree, right?
Yes.
All the, well, you know, this is what you do to get more students. You're going to have a booth out here. You're going to go give donuts to the schools. Well, the schools are closed. How are those systems all working now, right? So that's where systems can fall. But if you really have a purpose, you're going to continue moving forward. So now we have the 3 schools. We are 100% owners of all 3 locations. All our team works hard because they love what they do. And we're able to be here in Cosmo talking to you guys.
That's right. So we currently are able to do that because we have 24 employees that are working with us. In the summer, it doubles because of our summer camp. But our goal with our team is to become more of their mentors and coaches and guiding them in life and genuinely caring about who they are and who they want to become. But this started because we were clear about our purpose. We did not have systems when we opened. We didn't know Dwayne. We didn't know anyone. We didn't join any coaching program. We didn't even know, and still today, you drop big names and I have no idea who anyone is. So I apologize if anyone here is martial arts royalty. I don't know who you are. I just respect people. But this is who we were, and this is how we built what we built. So a month after we opened, we hosted our first grand opening with a big fall festival, and we had the opportunity to have 1,000 people come to our location. So local businesses started reaching out, saying, how are you guys doing it? What is it that you're doing? And then within a few months, having the mayor there, having all of the local officials present, asking us, we want to learn from you. But the thing is, we didn't know what it was that we were doing. Sometimes you're doing something right, but you're not clear about what it is. So we had to take a step back, especially as they asked us to be involved in the in the Chamber of Commerce, which didn't exist. So by default, they asked us to be a part of it and asked Alan to become the president. So these people obviously know what they're doing, but what they didn't know is what we were clear was about the purpose. Right. We didn't have this system, but we had the purpose, and that is what created that for us. So with that, the purpose is what builds the system, and that's the message that we want to give to you. You're going to take these systems and you're going to implement them, and they're not going to work in some places because we all have very different demographics. We have 3 different schools in 3 different counties, and every school responds differently to the same offer. So the idea is not about, I'm going to take exactly what you did, I'm going to follow exactly that, but the purpose behind that system.
Right. So important to understand just a little bit of our background, and I'll let you go first here, yeah. Naomi, on servant leadership and how we find so much value in the purpose of what we're doing over the systems.
That's right. And, this really comes from our backgrounds, from our lives. I am the daughter of missionaries. My parents being, having grown up in a third world country, and my dad finally reaching the American dream of going to the United States and then finding this isn't it. I have to go back and I have to give back. And that's exactly what my parents did. I grew up in a very rural area, no water, no electricity, water out of a well, but there was such wealth in service, in loving, and getting people, and understanding why we must serve people by seeing them for who they are, and really understanding their needs. So that was my background, and then at age 16, then I started leading mission trips myself in Haiti, bringing medical teams to Ecuador, working with the natives. So that is all I knew. I didn't know that there was any other way to see people, but just like serving people over programs. And that's something, it's a motto that I live by. Love God, love people. Ultimately, whatever higher power that means to you, but love God, love people is the motto that leads my life. And that is my background. Although Alan, then it comes from a very different background.
We had running water and we had toilets, so that was good. I grew up in what they know more as the concrete jungle in the Bronx, New York. So a lot of gangs, a lot of violence, a lot of drugs, friends getting stabbed because they were, playing basketball at the park. That's what I grew up around. A lot of friends that ended up going to jail or ended up getting shot. At a very young age, I was already involved with different gangs. Well, not different gangs, maybe one gang, but involved in a negative way with maybe some other ones. And around 13, 14 years old, we were invited to a church, and that really changed my life, and I found a lot of purpose there. I had a lot of mentors that were able to show me a different way and say, wait, you don't have to go down this path, there's other options. That changed my life, and as it changed my life, I wanted to share that with other people. So we started doing youth groups that are life coaching in my house, and we went from my 10 friends to 20 to 30 to 40. I don't know what my parents were thinking, allowing me to bring that many friends over to our house. We had to split up on different days, but we had up to 60 youth teens in my house meeting every single week, and I was giving them life advice. I didn't have any really good life advice at that point, but I was, 14 at that time, maybe 15 years old, but we were talking people out of suicide. And I remember how I felt doing that. And I remember how important it felt, the passion of what we were doing. And even if my shortcomings, because I knew I wasn't good, I knew I didn't know what I was talking about, because I had seen people who know what they're talking about, right? So I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what but when I make that change in that person's life, and that person comes out of a suicidal situation, then it's like, wow, what I'm doing really matters. The whole system of you need to have these certificates, these kind of credentials to be able to give somebody life coach, right, falls away. Because who the hell cares? No one was giving that person life coaching, but I was there. So your passion is going to be more important than the system designed around. And it's not to say that the systems are bad. The systems are great, and they're there for a reason. But when you put the system over the purpose, you have a problem.
That's right, and it's internalizing that allowed us to be successful in business, seeing people for who they are and understanding that, the purpose of a business is to provide a product, right? But we changed the purpose of that product rather than just teaching people to punch or kick and choke someone, and creating a product that's led by the mission of who we are. So what, one of the things we hear a lot in the martial arts industry is that we are in the business of changing lives. So but what if it's really about changing our lives first, then changing the life of our team, the people that work with us? And notice I didn't say staff, I didn't say employee, but the team, the people that work alongside with us. And then lastly, changing the life of the people we serve, our clients, of our families.
Absolutely, and I think it really starts with leadership, starts with yourself.
That's right.
And I think that's an error that I think I want a lot of people to try to not skip over, where we'll hear someone talk about an amazing systems, because there's some great speakers that are going to speak this weekend, implemented this amazing talk and amazing system, but I want you to look at the life improvement that they've had in their life. Yes. And how they were able to develop that system, because the purpose developed the system. The purpose developed the system. So you have to improve first, invest in yourself, heavily in yourself. And the funny thing is that the more you start pouring into other people and building up leaders, the more you need to continue self-improving yourself. A lot of us quit that. We reach, black belt level of whatever coaching or system that we're part of, and then we stop improving ourselves. And we say, well, I'm going to continue improving these people. And then we feel threatened by the people who are coming up. Right? But if you need to continue improving yourself and being that leader that people want to follow, being that leader that people want to emulate, being that leader that truly changes lives, being that leader that doesn't stop improving. And that's something that we live by. If you see that in our community, people go by and they come to Zentai and they say, wow, every time I come here, there's something different. There's something new. There's something better. Because every time I'm teaching my staff, it doesn't matter how good you do it, we never stop improving. And that's the mindset that I have to live through myself first, so that then my team can start doing it.
That's right. And Alan always says, if it's working, double down on it. So it's not, I'm thinking like, okay, if it's working, that's it. Take the foot off the pedal. It's the opposite. Is if it's working, double down on it. And that self-improvement carries then over to your team. And that's our job right now. That's it. That is what we do. We invest in our team on weekly coaching with them, but real coaching into their lives and understanding who do they want to be? What do they want to do? Not just like, this is how you implement the system, but who wants to get married? Who wants to buy a house? How can we get you out of debt? Because the better that they are, when they go into the next level, then your business is going to go to the next level, because we only have one life, and you've heard this before. So if your team is having a difficult time at home, they're going to bring that into the business. And then now it's difficult for us to walk in that purpose. So that is the idea, but there is an investment that goes into that. There's time and true caring. One of the reasons why we've invested so much in training our team, taking them to events, well, not this one, but other events as training opportunities, so much so we actually rented a mansion, took everyone there, and shared with them what we know, and broke it down into ways that they can implement it in their lives so they can go on to the next level. So we're not scared of our team leveling up. That's actually what we want. The idea, the goal is I go next level, you go next level. It's a win-win situation.
And as you win and your team wins, then it's only a natural progression that your clients will win, that your students will win, that their students are going to win, right? Because they're going to really pour into them what they've received. So it's about everyone leveling up at each level. We heard a lot about in 2020, become your local hero. And that's something that we were able to work on. We saw that, those systems, like we said, they broke down. There were things that we had to do that was very different. We saw in a parents group where there was a mom frustrated because they were closing down the schools and they had about 2 hours to go pick up their kids' laptop and schoolwork like many of us had to do. They weren't around. This is just a generic Facebook group, nothing to do with us, not our members. And Naomi just replied, hey, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to pick that up for you. Just a simple gesture, right? That's not something that gives you a return on investment. That's not something that we're trying to say, okay, maybe this person's going to become a lead. That's just being a community leader. That's just being providing a service to the people around you. We started right around that time. We received our service dog, Lad. So a lot of you guys know Lad, our service dog. He's amazing. We started going around house to house delivering goodies for the kids. So since no one can get close at that time, we had a nice super long leash for him. He would carry a goodie bag in his mouth, go up to the door. The parents would open, the kids would come. They were super ecstatic, excited, getting them out of depression, anxiety. They were locked away. We started receiving calls from people all over New Jersey, saying, can you please come? My kid needs this. They're so depressed. They're locked down. They don't know what to do. Can you come visit? These weren't clients. These weren't even considered to us leads. We were not thinking of them, this is a lead. We were there just to serve. These people needed this. We're about changing lives. We're going to change these people's lives. That's what we're there for. We're there to change the life regardless of what happens. Gave us media press. News paper first wrote some articles. Then we had Channel 9 News come follow us around with a camera as the dog was walking up, because they came out. Then Channel 11 came out. The New Jersey News Network came out. We had like 4 different news channels start following us around as we went to do this. So did that end up bringing us some leads? Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. That wasn't our purpose. Our purpose was to serve. Our purpose was to change those lives. So being that local hero is going to require you having that sense of purpose and you remembering that, not just being a saying, not just a model. Oh, we're going to, change all these lives. This is what we're about. And then our KPIs are only tracking how many leads and how many enrollments we got. That's a pitfall that we fall into.
For sure. And, as we mentioned, being that local hero places you in the position that when there is a need, people are going to think about you. I didn't set out to run for office. I am, as I told you, the daughter of missionaries. I was a special education teacher, but I realized that in my community with 35% Latinos and 88% of our school population being Spanish speaking, I became the first bilingual special education teacher. So there was an obvious need there. And this isn't about race, this isn't about language, but this is about need and understanding purpose. So when the opportunity to run for office came to me, I didn't think, what? No. I said, why not me? I am a leader. I am passionate about people. I am a problem solver. And it's not about the system for me, it's about the purpose. Because if you want to talk about system, something that's broken is the politics system, and you know that. But when it came to that, I had the opportunity to run, became the first Latina elected to council, and then the first Latina to be elected as a deputy mayor. So my goal wasn't, hey, I'm gonna set out here to make history, but to change people's lives one person at a time. That gave us the opportunity, and that's what we're encouraging you to become, to find your own Calcutta. What does that mean? Mother Teresa of Calcutta, which is one of my personal heroes, when people will show up there, they would say, I want to live there. I want to move with you. I want to help people. And she said, this is great. Learn what I'm doing and find your own Calcutta. What does that mean to you? How does that translate to you? We're not telling you the systems, we're telling you the passion of the purpose, which is what's going to guide you. Because sometimes what we do is we focus so much on the goal, on the KPIs, like Alan said. And when you reach that goal for high achievers, then we have no other purpose. What else guides us? What else leads us? And this is about so much more than reaching a goal, because goals are just benchmarks. They're just benchmarks. These are posts on the road. But the mission is what you are. It's what guides your leadership even when you're not there anymore.
And again, from an operational background, KPIs is my thing. Standard operating procedures is my thing. I love them. I can't get enough numbers looking at it and tracking that. That is great. But this also makes us fall short. There's a story that, we had actually Roland Osborne come out and do a seminar at one of our schools. Great seminar. Kids were pumped. Everybody was really excited. And at the end, we loved what we saw. There were some really great changes and impact that we did. But we had one of our instructors, no longer with us anymore, who was very upset. He was mad. I said, why are you upset? And he said, well, we signed up this many people and we upgraded this many people, but it wasn't enough. We should have done a lot more. And I said, you just missed the whole point of what we were doing. And there was an amazing mother who shared a story. I think you
short on time, but I'll say it quickly. This child had special needs, and this child actually won a kicking competition with low muscle tone. The mother is an occupational therapist, so she knows her stuff. And to have this mother come up to us and thank us with tears in her eyes and post on social media about the success that her child had reached, that was everything to us, because that was the purpose. And it wasn't about the amount of people that we were able to book or upgrade, but about changing that child's life.
We see it in the system, in the martial arts. A lot of the founders of a lot of the disciplines that we follow picked and got things, disciplines, styles from anywhere they could. They just learned, they grew, they improved their self-defense and what they were doing. Once they passed away, we took it all, locked it in a box and say, well, this is how you throw a reverse punch and no one is to change it ever again. Right? That wasn't what they taught us. They taught us learning from everywhere and improving, constantly improving themselves. But we took what they taught us, locked it in a box, and say, you can't grow this any more than this. And that's the problem when you start putting the system over the people, over the purpose for which they were designed. So why does this matter?
Yeah, we're just going to close that with this. This matters because this is a good business practice. And ultimately, you might sit here saying, well, you guys are talking about all this, feely stuff, and I'm a warrior, and I don't care about feelings. We're not talking about feelings. I'm talking about the mission that's going to hold your work way past your existence. That's what we're talking about. So it matters because the people that are working with you, we found in a study done by Forbes that 89% of employees are looking for a purpose in the work they do. So maybe you're thinking, why do I get good people and they don't stay? You can't do it all. Why don't they stay? Maybe revisit the purpose, revisit the vision of the mission of what you're doing.
Stop thinking so much about the tasks that you have to do, all the things that you have to do, and start thinking about who you are. Who do you have to be? Who do you have to become? Because that's what's going to survive when the next pandemic or whatever it is hits and all the systems fall through the ground. What's going to survive is who you are, and it's going to come out. So if you're going to grow during that time or you're going to crash during that time is going to be determined if you're following that system. If I'm only following a system that worked during this environment, then it's going to crash. But if I am, and I am the being of that purpose, then I'm going to continue to thrive and push forward. Thank
That's
you
right.
guys so much.
And just want to close with this. Your being might change. What you do might change, but your being is not going to change. So that ultimate call to action that we want to give you is to become the person that deserves that success that you're working for. So thank you again.
Thank you guys.